Am I crazy? A weekend camping trip on northern Vancouver Island in April, with temperatures down to almost freezing and the possibility of rain? Well, let's find out. My name is Peter and I like motorcycles. Usually I like to take long trips on my BMW R1200 RS, but for this trip I'm going to ride in a motorcycle rally off-road. So I'm taking my CRF250L. I bought the CRF250L just in January. It came almost stock, so I had to add a top rack and a side rack so I could put some luggage on. And I also got this Nelson Rig tank bag for my gear, and then I had to add a USB. So I have a double USB here, and I have a single cigarette type port here so that I can plug in my two phones that I need for the rally, and then I can use my Garmin GPS on other trips. So for a Roadbook Rally, I need to have one phone up here for my directions, and then I have another phone that I keep in my bag that's keeping track of my location and reporting it back to the scorer. I also added this windscreen from CRS.com in the US, but if you're in Canada, you'll know that there's a 30% automotive duty, and then there's the exchange rate. So the $150 turned into a lot more money. This little add-on is by GV, and I only use that on the highway to kill the wind noise. So I have this WeGo tail bag that I usually use for off-road riding and riding around town, but on this trip I'm going to need a bigger box. So I have a plate here that allows me to put a monolock box on. I often use this box, and I can change it between the two bikes. I'll use that if I'm riding to work or around town and I need to pick up something. So for a big trip, I have this 48-liter GV box that fits in the same location. Now some of you are probably thinking, well, that's too heavy for a tail rack, and you're probably right. If I load this up, there's going to be a lot of weight in there. But I try to pack so that I keep as much weight low as possible and keep this for more bulky, easy to access items. Try to keep the weight low up here. But on a small bike like this, the truth is it's going to be hard to get all the gear that I need compared to what I can load on the BMW. It might be nice to have super expensive Moscow Moto or Giant Loop side bags, but some of us don't have that much cash. So these are off eBay. They cost about $200. They took about 3 weeks to arrive from China, and I've had them for quite a long time, and they've served pretty well. They're getting a little bit wrecked up, but for the price, I would say I got good value for my money. Let's see if I can get my gear into these bags. They're 25 liters per side. I had a 48 liter and a 33 liter hard case on my Africa Twin, so I had a lot more room to put stuff down low and not have to put it in the top box. This is a 2-night trip, so I'm not going to need a lot of stuff, but I need the basics. So gotta have a sleeping bag. So I always keep my cooking stuff separate from my sleeping stuff and my clothes. So on this side, I put in a sleeping bag. That's about half the bag. That's half of that. Let's see what else goes in there. Small air mattress. Don't need a pump. I can blow it up easily. And a blow-up pillow. Okay, I'm getting close here. This is pretty full. Because it's a 2-day trip, I don't need a lot of clothes. So a couple of changes of underwear and socks and t-shirts, and I'm good to go. So let's call that side full and wrap it up. Okay, that's one side. What else do we need? I don't use a jet boil or any kind of propane stove because I don't like the propane canisters that are left over. I've seen too many left on remote campsites where people were too lazy to carry them out. So if you use one of those, take your damn canisters home when they're empty. I like this Coleman stove. This is a Coleman type stove. This is actually an MSR Whisper Light and it uses Coleman fuel. One pot, one bowl, one cup, a spork, and that's it. I call it heat and eat. On this trip, I'm mostly carrying pre-prepared food, and I'll just be making coffee in the morning. Dish soap, which I probably won't need because I'm not cooking much, and a few odds and ends. tent and a water bottle. Back's mostly empty. And I can even take this to put on my bike while I'm riding in the rally. So this is my tool pack that has my basic tools that I usually use to work on the Honda. And I'll just bring that along. And it's got everything that I need for an emergency. And that's my prep for my first trip of the year. I'm having a longer trip up to Gold River to do another rally at the beginning of July, and then I'll be heading up to the Cariboo. So subscribe to my channel and watch me on all my adventures this year.